So, welcome to Redefine the Divine, Losing Your Religion. I am Tara Greenway. I'm an intuitive coach, and I empower people with energy healing techniques so that they can come out of whatever stuckness they are currently in, whether that is feeling that they are like in the wrong kind of religion or in the wrong kind of work or relationship, or just feeling stuck in anxiety, self-sacrifice, perfectionism, all that good stuff. So I use different techniques from therapists or from regular coaches. I use these very intuitive energy healing techniques, and they're really cool. So I'm really glad that you're here today, you guys. I know that if you're here, you might be struggling a bit. You might be hurting because it hurts. It hurts to realize that the religion that you were raised in, that probably was very dear to your heart in many ways, it hurts to realize slowly that it doesn't work for you anymore. It really hurts to feel judged. It hurts to feel judged on your beliefs, your behavior, your sexual preference. It hurts to be found lacking or wrong or sinful. It hurts to stay in your religious community with all your questions and doubts. It hurts a lot to leave your religious community. It hurts, and I know that. I have been through it. I'm so glad that you're here. And the truth is that you do get to be connected to the divine spirit like you probably long to do. You long to feel that way, and you can feel that way, and you can reestablish or firm up your connection without all the guilt and fear that may have come with your religion that you were raised in. So we are going to help you to start today to go from that hurt, maybe angry place to a place of feeling healing and connected. I don't want to pretend that this little hour and a half is going to solve all your problems, because that's not really how life works. And you may need more support along this journey, because I always say healing doesn't happen in a vacuum. We're here for each other. So at the end of this, and we're going to, like I said, we're going to do a lot of stuff here today. And if you weren't here before, get a pen and paper if you can, so that you can really participate in this and be in the chat and ask me any questions. But at the end of all this, I'm going to give you guys who are here, either here live or watching the replay, you're going to have the opportunity to sign up. If you're serious about this, if you want to like really tackle this, sign up for what I call a Get Unstuck Zoom. And that's a 45-minute one-on-one free time with me, so that we can really dive into stuff and work out what's going on with you, or start to head you in that direction as much as we can in that 45 minutes. So we'll talk more about that later. But right now, I would love for you to raise your hand. Well, most of you guys are off camera, so put me in the chat if any of these things applies to you, okay? Just put me in the chat. Are you so used to feeling afraid of God and judged by God that it's very hard for you to separate fear and shame from God? Put me in the chat if that applies to you. If when you think of God, it automatically brings up fear or shame. Put me in the chat if you find yourself, or maybe you used to find yourself, editing your words and maybe even your facial expressions around people in your family or in your religious community. Put me in the chat. Put me in the chat if, yeah, editing, yes, yeah. If you have spent some months or years wondering how your teachers and spiritual leaders felt good about kind of brainwashing young kids. Have you ever had that thought? What was going on there? Put me in the chat. This one kind of gets me. Put me in the chat just because it's a little like, if you have ever felt that you had to decide between being who you really are and being who your religion demands you to be. It's kind of the crux of the matter. Have you ever felt like you had to decide between being who you really are and being who your religion demands that you be? So I would love for you, yeah, we've got a couple of yeses here. I would love for you to put into the chat if you feel comfortable, or get your pen and paper out and write down two things, two questions I'm going to ask you right now. One, what was the number one way that your religion harmed you or deeply confused you? The number one way your religion harmed you or maybe just really, really confused you. And two, what did you make that mean about you? I'm going to give you an example in a second to help you understand. So what did you make whatever that confusing or hurtful thing was mean about you instead of about the religion or the other person teaching you it? What did you make it mean about you? You probably took it in to your sweet little heart. What did you make it mean? So, as an example, when I was a kid, I was told many, many, many times by my church that I needed to remain pure, that girls needed to remain pure. And that means not showing your sexuality by wearing revealing clothing. And that word revealing, like this might have been revealing because in fact, I will confess that before this started, I buttoned this button. I was like, wait a minute, this is the Redefine the Divine Masterclass. I need to button the button that might make people think that I was being indiscreet. I don't want to offend anyone. So I was taught growing up that it's girls who need to remain pure. We cannot show our sexuality by the way we dress. We cannot show our sexuality by dancing. Anybody else have a no dancing rule? Put that in the chat. And we certainly cannot have sex before marriage. So those were the rules. Those were that purity thing was definitely the thing. Anybody else here read Elizabeth Elliot? Most people don't know who she is, but if you grew up in the church, you know. And I know too, by the way, this isn't just church. There's temple, and I know her well, yeah. There's temple, there's synagogue, there's mosque, and all the religions are very similar, actually. So what I made that mean about me was that my sexuality and my body was bad, of the flesh. And anybody else able to quote 100 Bible verses about the flesh and how awful it is? I felt that my body was bad. It was like not of God. It was sinful, not pure. And so my body took this very seriously for a very long time. So even when I was in my mid to late 20s and left that religion that I was brought up in, my body didn't really leave. And I had a great deal of difficulty and went into physical pain whenever I tried to be sexual. So that's what I made it mean, was that I made it mean like, oh, my body's bad and sex is bad. That's not exactly what they said. Nobody ever looked at me and said, your body's bad and sex is bad, right? Well, might have said, well, they said premarital sex is bad. But that's what I made it mean. So what, I'd like you to put either in the chat or on your paper, what happened with you? What is it? Because we need to get specific here. What is it that harmed you or confused you looking back? And what did you make it mean about you? So does anybody want to share about that? I think you guys are choosing to write on your papers, which is fine. And in fact, then you get to keep it. The chat's going to go away. So I just want you to be thinking about your specific circumstance, because I'm not here to just give you a lecture. I want you to really start working on this. I just want to see what this says. Made this mean about me that I'm not good enough to deserve being chosen and loved and have a family. And that sucks, Lana. I'm sorry. So I'm going to say it one more time because I don't know for sure that the chat shows up in the replay. One person is saying she made this mean about me that I'm not good enough to deserve being chosen, loved, and have a family. Now, that's probably not exactly what the religious institution said, but that's what she took out of it, and understandably so, right? I'm hoping that nowadays it's a little better what they're, telling the kids in these religious institutions, but I'm not entirely sure. So we're going to do something about that here today. I'm getting, like I said, I like to be specific because that's what works. And we're going to talk about 4 pillars that you need to work on in order to go from this hurt and maybe angry and maybe confused place to that place of feeling your connection and being in flow and in love and in self-respect and self-love and able to receive that love from God, if you call it God, source, universe with a capital U, whatever you want to call that, that energy. So here's the 4 pillars to release fear and guilt and rejection, rediscover your connection to the divine. First one, and don't worry because this is going to be in the chat. Number 1, find freedom from fear and its friends. You like that alliteration? That kind of just happened. Find freedom from fear. And it's not just fear, it's fear's gross little friends. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. So religion usually comes with a heavy dose of fear. And what are we afraid of in religion? We're afraid of making a mistake. We're afraid of being bad. We're actually afraid of God. The fear keeps us in line, keeps us in the religion. We're afraid. We live and move and have our being in fear. We're afraid that God won't love us if we do certain things. We're even afraid, some of us, that God won't love us if we think or feel certain things. That's a lot of fear. So did anybody else here? Yeah, somebody said condemnation is pretty scary. Yeah, it's kind of scary to think that you might go to hell. Did anybody else here get taught that they were sinful and not enough and never would be enough? Put yes in the chat if that was you. Taught that you were not enough and never would be enough. And what happens if you're taught that you're not enough and never will be enough? Well, it creates the friends of fear, depression, anxiety, could be anger, could be guilt. I mean, it's a lot, you know? So again, participate if you want in the chat. If you have been either told by a clinician that you have anxiety or depression, or just in your heart, like, yeah, I'm a pretty anxious person, or I tend toward depression, put yes in the chat so that we know we're not alone. Yeah, some of it definitely heard. Hold on, I got to get my glasses. Definitely heard in some of the religious camps I went to that we're all sinful. Yeah. Did you have to throw a pine cone in the fire to prove that you were coming to confess your sins and to what did they say? To you probably already gave your life to Jesus, but to recommit. We used to have to throw pine cones in the fire, and you felt bad throwing one in the fire because that seemed like, oh, maybe you weren't a Christian until now, and you felt bad not throwing a pine cone in the fire because that would mean that maybe you're not taking your journey seriously. The pine cone in the fire thing was loaded. We had one night during the week where we had to just sit by ourselves and think about how we're all sinful and need Jesus. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm laughing. You gotta either laugh or cry. And especially this is like little kids, right? Like, what were you doing? That was so terrible. And Leanne said, and it was never final. Yeah. What do you mean by that? It was never fun. Oh, that there would always be more sinning, right? Like you would never be good enough. Oh, it was every summer. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go again. VBS. How many people here know what VBS stands for? VBS. Put it in the chat. VBS. I know you know. And then there was the Easter service, one of my least favorite, I mean, not one of my least favorite time of the year was Easter, when I had to see again the crown of thorns put into Jesus's head and him hanging on the cross, and the nail that really got me, the nails through his hands, like, and whose fault was that? Mine. I was a sinner. Thank you, Leon. Vacation Bible School is VBS. Okay. So you feel guilty, you feel maybe a little angry. Now, I will say that anger that you might have felt, I never felt very angry until I was all the way grown up. But maybe you felt angry back then. Lots of people enter into that as a teenager. I really loved my youth group. I loved my religion in my teenage years. So maybe I was unusual in that regard. But if you did or do feel angry, that's kind of good in a way, because your anger is like a signal, right? It's like a smoke alarm going like, you can't ignore it. It's like, what's happening? Oh yeah, I left a pan on the stove. Let me get that off. Thank you, smoke alarm, right? It's good. But you don't want to stay in the anger. You don't want that smoke alarm to keep blaring and blaring the rest of your life. That's why you want to, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense that I was angry. You want to see your emotion. Sometimes, especially as women, we don't even know that we're angry. We're not even sure until somebody points it out, or until we realize that we're clenching our jaw, our back goes into spasm, or, we suddenly, drop a pencil and then freak out because we're so angry and we've kept it in. We've kept it a secret even from ourselves. But anger can be there. You just don't want it. It brings your attention, like I said, to like, oh, this isn't working for me anymore. But now I'm out of the religion, or I'm exiting the religion, and I'm sick of being angry all the time. And the other thing that comes definitely with all this religious stuff is, like we're saying, the pine cones and the campfire and the rededicating your life and the VBS, guilt, right? The guilt is very heavy, and we're very familiar with all of this. I was talking with a good friend of mine who grew up very evangelical and is in fact now a professor of theology, but her theology has changed a lot over the years. And she said that guilt often turns into shame, and shame is an even heavier emotion than guilt, right? Guilt is a heavy emotion. Shame is like, oh, I can't even hold this up. And she said that shame is what females make guilt into often, and that's not helpful. And pride is what males tend to make guilt into. And that's very unhelpful also. And we can see evidence of that in the church. I keep saying the church because that's what I'm more familiar with. If you are a person who goes to temple or mosque, or used to, I'm trying to include you too, because like I said, it's very similar. I can speak about the church because I was there. And I still am there, by the way. I have found a beautiful, liberal, very, very socially active church that I love. So what does guilt do? What do guilt and shame do? They paralyze you. They emotionally paralyze you. It's like carrying around a 10-ton weight on your back that only you can see and feel. So here's what you don't want to do. You don't want to somehow try to not feel your anger or your guilt. You probably already did that for a pretty long time. You don't want to pretend it's not there. You don't want to stay in it. What do? So I have very specific energy healing techniques that I show my clients and lead them through. that are about seeing what is my emotion in the first place, acknowledging it, accepting it, which is that's right where most people stop. They don't want to accept it. They want to deny it. They want it to go away. But the first step in getting it to go away is to accept that you have it, so that then it can flow out of you. I always say, if you've worked with me at all before, you've heard me say, or even just come to these master classes before, you've heard me say, emotions are like a tantruming toddler. If you say to a toddler who's throwing a tantrum, stop it, there's nothing wrong, what will she do? She will tantrum louder. If you ignore her, what will she do? She will tantrum louder. That's what your emotions will do too. If you say to the toddler, oh, I see you are so upset right now, and it makes sense that you are, you want that candy bar, and you can't have it till after dinner, what is she going to do? She's going to go, yeah. And you go, do you want to hug it? She goes, yeah. And then you're hugging and it's over, probably. So that's what we do with our emotions, but it can't be just talking, because that's not going to work, and you've probably tried it. Talk therapy is great for a lot of things. It doesn't usually succeed in getting the emotions all the way out. That needs something a little bit more somatic, and that is one of the techniques that I teach people to do. It is not a one-time thing. It is something that you're going to do over and over and over, about this, the religion stuff, about other stuff, relationship stuff, and career stuff. This is what I teach people on a daily basis. And so many of my clients, I'm so grateful and happy to say, have come from that heaviness of anger and guilt and shame and fear into freedom and even joy, because they have learned how to process their emotions in this really cool somatic way. Okay, so all of that was the first pillar. We have to find, what is it? Even I don't know. Not just find fear. What do we do? Oh, find freedom from fear. Thank you. That is good. Find freedom from fear and its friends, depression, anxiety, all those, guilt, anger, all those heavy things. Okay, so that was find freedom from fear and its friends. Number 2, transfer your trust. So one of the biggest problems I see over and over with people who were raised in a strict, controlling religion is that your religion teaches you often to trust God by requiring you to doubt yourself. So how many people did this happen to? Who here was taught, maybe not in those words, but taught not to trust themselves, not to trust their own intuition? Who here, put a yes or a me in the chat, was silenced when they spoke their truth? Just let me know and let us all know. So guess what? That was, getting some yeses. That was not true. They probably didn't even really mean to say that. It's kind of how it came across though. But news, you are a completely trustworthy person. You are a completely trustworthy. If you trust your intuition will never lead you wrong. Your intuition is telling you what you want and what you need. It won't lead you astray. You just have to learn how to listen to it. I want to make sure you know that when I say intuition, I don't mean instinct. It's two different things, because your instincts can kind of like not do you a favor. Sometimes your instinct might tell you like, oh, eat as much as you can. There might not be food tomorrow. That's an instinct. It's an old, But your intuition will tell you, I need more water right now. I need protein. Okay? You can listen to your intuition, not your instinct. Your instincts might say, for example, have sex with that guy. We've got to procreate. We've got to continue the human race. Okay? We're not listening to our instincts. We're listening to our intuition. Our intuition will tell you that is not the guy. That guy is not a girl or whatever. That person is not able to give me the love that I deserve. Your intuition will tell you. You might not listen to it, but it will tell you. And it'll also tell you, oh, that's him. That's what love at first sight is. And sometimes it doesn't happen at first sight. Sometimes it happens at 15th sight. But that's your intuition. And you can trust your intuition. It's the wisest, most loving, most natural part of you. And so I want you to transfer your trust, if you would like, from what your religious institution said that God thinks. And I don't think that anyone gets to say exactly what God thinks, to yourself, because you can trust the divine spirit and yourself. God never said not to trust yourself. God never said you had to choose between your intuition and God. In fact, your intuition leads you to God. That's probably why you're here today, whether you're here live or watching the replay. You long for that Godness that if you're here, you might have left behind in your religious institution, but it's still there. You get to be connected to the true divine spirit. So that verse I deliberately misquoted a little while ago. I said, in fear we live and move and have our being. And of course, you probably know it's in God we live and move and have our being. That is what the Bible says. In God we live and move and have our being. You can't get away from God. You can't be disconnected from God. That's where I think religions make things a little bit confusing. They want you to do certain things and they do it from love and they do it from because they're afraid too. But really, we already are connected. It is impossible to be disconnected. So, right now, we are going to do a beautiful little exercise that I absolutely love. And it is taken from the Theta Healing technique. It's a visualization, and it is just a really, really handy, easy, simple way to feel your connection. Your connection is already there. We're just going to feel it. So I'm actually going to show you 3 things right now. I'm going to lead you through 3 things. Again, whether you're here live or watching the replay, I want you to put down your pen if you have it and try this. I'm going to show you 3 things to feel your connection. So first, real simple, just put your hands over your heart. And a couple of deep breaths in. Hold it for a few moments and breathe out nice and slowly. If you can breathe out through your mouth, makes it easier to breathe slowly. When you're ready, another deep breath in. Hold it for a few moments and breathe out. You know, we're in these bodies, right? These bodies that most people, most of us were taught in our religion are sinful. The flesh separating us from God. But really, God is everywhere. God is within our flesh. We're not separate. That would be weird. So go ahead. And I'm just going to mute everybody. Leanne, can you mute everybody? And I want you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable. I'm going to close my eyes. And just imagine going down into the earth beneath you, no matter how many floors above the earth you happen to be right now. Imagine going down deep into the earth, not where all the subway or plumbing or whatever is, deep in the core of the earth. Imagine pulling up a ball of energy from the earth and allowing it to rise up through the soles of your feet. Imagine that ball of energy moving up slowly through your body, each cell of your body, all the way up through your legs, all your energy centers through the torso, up through your throat, your head, and then imagine that ball of energy kind of popping out the top of your head. And now that ball of energy looks like a ball of light in your mind. And you can maybe see what color it is or just give it a color. It's like a beautiful ball of light hovering a little ways above your head. And then put your consciousness into that ball of energy and light. And then let it rise up and out and up and out through the clouds, through the stars, out of our galaxy, beyond our universe. Imagine going up in that beautiful ball of light through different layers of light and dark and light and dark. And then imagine far above you, there's a beautiful, sparkling, white, iridescent ocean of light. And you rise right up into that ocean. And now you're not really feeling your ball of energy anymore. You're feeling your oneness with this beautiful, sparkling ocean of white light. And of course, other thoughts come into your mind, and that's okay. You just don't follow them right now. You keep bringing your attention back to this ocean of light, like you're a drop in the ocean. You can hang out there as long as you want. And now, as you have your eyes still closed, I'm going to give you a little mantra. Mantra, translated directly from Sanskrit, just means mind tool. So it's not a religious thing from any other religion. It's just a little mind tool. And I made this one up for myself, actually. And then I started to share it with clients. And it's very helpful to a lot of us. And don't worry about trying to remember it, because after you open your eyes, it'll be in the chat. But just in your mind, I want you to say this to yourself. Rooted in the earth, aligned with the divine, I feel my oneness. I trust my light. And light there is with a capital L. And sometimes it's really nice to call God light. If your image of God, which we're going to talk about in a few minutes, is scary, you might want to call God by a different name so you don't get scared every time you say the word light. I love the word source. I'm going to say it one more time. Rooted in the earth, aligned with the divine, I feel my oneness. I trust my light. Now I want you to imagine gathering that energy and light back into your ball of energy and light. You're going to take a little of that shining white, sparkling light. And imagine that ball of energy that you're in coming all the way back down into our universe, into our galaxy, grounding back down from the top of your head all the way down through your body, back down into the earth, where you, for some reason, decided to have this really interesting human life now. And then at the last moment, you can bring that energy back up. Imagine it coming back up through the soles of your feet, all the way up your body, kind of fountaining out the top of your head and down around you, creating a nice egg-shaped energy ball. And open your eyes gently whenever you're ready. So I just gave you guys 3 tools, very simple ones, to feel your oneness with Source, the universe, the light, God, the divine. Simplest one was hands over your heart, right? You can just come back to that super easily. The second one was that visualization, and that is the theta healing visualization. I didn't make that up. An amazing spiritual teacher called Vienna Steibel made that up. And if you are interested in that, let me know. Email me, and you can learn how to be a theta healer. It's pretty cool. At least one person here already is. And the third tool was that mantra. And you see that in the chat now. So I would love if you guys take one thing from this, let it be that you're already connected to source and to trust yourself and trust your connection. But don't worry, we're not done yet. Does anybody want to share in the chat how that felt for you? How did that visualization feel? Did it feel like really weird? Did it feel like beautiful? Was it hard for you to get there? Which is totally natural, by the way. A lot of people are like, I didn't feel anything. Totally fine. It's just a tool that you can use that the more you practice it, the more you will feel it. Laura said it felt natural. Good, because it is natural. It's natural for us to feel our connection. What's unnatural is to not feel our connection, but that's what we're used to. Anybody else either have a little bit of trouble or really like it or just feel like, well, I don't know, I guess it was okay. We're going to go to the next thing while you mull over that. The third pillar that I need you, somebody said really enjoyed it, and somebody else said comforting. I love that. Good. Yeah, it is comforting. It's so tempting, right, to just think and spin around in our anxiety instead of just going back to our connection. I'm learning to finally just let me just go back to the connection instead of trying to figure out this, which I haven't been able to figure out for 20 years. So why would I be able to figure it out today, right? If you go back to your connection, that is the best place to live your life from. But sometimes we forget. Okay. Third pillar to start to transform any fear, anxiety, doubt, yuckiness into this feeling of flow and connection. Build boundaries. So number 3, build boundaries. Institutional religion has a special way of making you feel absolutely terrible for setting and upholding boundaries. People have been talking more in the past, I don't know, 5 years or so about boundaries. So that's good. And you might have, seen, I don't know, a reel or heard a podcast or something about boundaries, but maybe not. Maybe you've never really paid much attention to boundaries before, and maybe you don't know quite what I'm talking about. Or maybe people keep saying to you, you need to get better boundaries. And you're thinking, I wish I could, but I don't know how. So let me just tell you what boundaries are. Boundaries are the energetic borders between you and other people. And they're also the energetic borders between you and any institution, whether it's a religious institution or a work institution or an acting or dance institution. I work with a lot of creatives, by the way, and they are, I have to say, the ones who have been to like ballet school, especially, are the most similar to my super religious clients. Really interesting. Does the same thing. And we kind of learned that we're not supposed to have boundaries between us and certain other people, or between us and our religious institution. And that's not so great. So if you are feeling exhausted or resentful of other people or of your religious institution, there is a good chance that you're not either establishing or upholding your boundaries with them. If you feel guilty for saying no to being on another committee, saying no when somebody continually wants something of you, saying a different opinion than somebody else and feeling horrible about it, spending time or money on yourself and feeling very guilty about that, if you just keep on sacrificing your time and your emotions for others, you, my friend, do not have great boundaries. And you do get to set and uphold boundaries, even if other people disagree with you. The trick is to do it with firmness and kindness and confidence, and not with hostility or anger or fear, because people don't react well to those things. In fact, even if you put your boundaries in place and you say them without rancor and you're, oh no, but see, I can't do that because of this and this. So I got to tell you, people may not be thrilled with that. If people are used to you not having boundaries, if they're used to you doing everything that anyone asks at work, at your church, in your family, if you are just the person who is supposed to do everything and not complain and not ever be even thanked, and suddenly you say, oh, here are my boundaries, people are probably not going to say, good for you for setting boundaries. They're probably going to react that way. They're going to be upset because they're used to taking advantage of you and they're used to you not saying anything about it. And that works extremely well for them. So I want you to be ready for people not to be so very thrilled when you're setting boundaries. But you got to play the long game here because it is worth it. And I have a whole other masterclass that I teach about boundaries where we go into how if you keep doing stuff for other people that really they should be doing for themselves, it's really a way of showing them that you don't trust them. And that's not really what you meant, right? So boundaries in the long run are really good for other people as well as for you. But I'm mainly concerned with you right now. And somebody just put in the chat a little while ago, yeah, I've had clients. So Jill is another wonderful healing practitioner and theta healer. I've had clients with that abusive lack of boundaries from ballet studio. Yeah, ballet. I had a whole string of ballet dancers at one point. I guess they referred each other. I don't even think they did refer each other. I think it just came from the source that like, oh man, these, and I've had a whole string of people from a certain religious institution, and yeah, these energy techniques really work well for this kind of special guilt that comes from these institutions. So has anybody here put yes in the chat if you are noticing like, yeah, I kind of don't have good boundaries, or I have tried to set boundaries, but everybody gets so freaked out that I've kind of given up on that. And if you feel comfortable sharing, let me know what boundaries did you just try to set? Like, was it a family boundary? Was it a boundary with how much committee work you would do? Was it a work boundary? You told your boss, please don't text me at 9:30 at night, like what was it? So put that in the chat if you can. And I just want you to know, because I'm a truth teller, this is not, setting and upholding boundaries is a big one. It's something that probably isn't going to change because you just listened to me talk about boundaries for 10 minutes. Okay. This is something you're going to have to continue to work at. And that is what I'm here for. You really need somebody who understands this and has done this. And, sign up for that thing that I'm going to tell you about later if you want to do a little bit more work around that. And if you're really serious about changing how you live your life because you don't want to keep doing whatever you're doing. And somebody said, I tried work boundaries. People didn't like it. Yeah, I bet. People don't like it. So the people that don't like it are either going to kind of leave or they're going to learn to respect your boundaries. And again, in the long run, it's going to be best for them. But this is something that does require ongoing work and support. Okay, ready for the fourth pillar? Number 4, gather Godness. Gather Godness. Do not let them take God away from you. You are connected to the sacred, to the divine. You get to forge that connection in an authentic way now, whether or not it involves staying in your religion. No religion has a monopoly on the divine. You are leaving, or maybe have left, or maybe are thinking of leaving your religion, not your connection to source. Your connection to source stays. It's impossible to be disconnected. There's just every person, cat, dog, caterpillar, blade of grass is connected. So here's how I like to look at it. You're putting down this old picture of God that you were given. You're like, I don't know. So most of us were given a picture of God, that God was male, angry, disappointed, all of these things. And if you feel like, I don't know if this is the right picture, you're probably right. Now, I want to say, because I haven't mentioned this yet, if you are very fulfilled in your religion, I mean, you're probably not watching this class, but if you are, that's great. I know a lot of people in religions and their religion works for them. And that is fabulous. I have a client right now who is a pretty Orthodox Jew, and I am not here to take that person away from their religion, but they're still able to use all these techniques that I teach to free themselves from any guilt or fear or sense of just self-rejection, you know? But I just want to make clear that I'm not here to take people out of the religion if they're in it and it's working for them. But if you have already put down that old picture of God, if you're thinking about it, or if you're wishing that you could, that's okay. You get to do that, but you don't have to go into nothingness. You don't have to go into no God. Don't let them take God away from you. You get to form your new picture of God. That old picture was a little blurry. It was pretty old. It was, like cracking. So put in the chat what somebody already put the answer to the question I'm about to ask, because I said I was going to say, what qualities of that old picture of God would you say you are ready to put down? And somebody already put in the chat, mean Santa. Yeah, her picture of God was as a mean Santa. So I want you to first put in the chat the qualities that you were told that old God had that you're not sure are true. Male, judgmental, angry, a bit unpredictable, scary. Tell me that in the chat. And then, yeah, somebody put angry and disapproving. Yeah, that's a good adjective, disapproving. And then I want you to put in the chat, what is your new picture of God going to include? What do you think the divine is actually like? Do you think the divine might actually be loving? What if secretly all along Source has just adored you? Maybe Source is loving. Maybe it's more of an energy than a male or female, or maybe you prefer to think of it as more female. What else? Accepting. Yeah, someone said unconditional love. Someone else said, yeah, love, soft and gentle. Yeah. And also strong, right? Like really, like when you're like, that divine spirit is like, it's okay. You can depend on me. I've got this. I've got you. Comforting and strong. I feel like images of cells reproducing. Yeah, part of all of us accepting. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, you know what? With Chat GPT and everything now, I've never done this, but I'm going to do this after this Zoom. We could put into Chat GPT, please show me images or give me a description of a beautiful, loving, approving, divine spirit. You get to make your new picture of God. And that is learning to see Godness through a new lens. You're taking your own picture of God. You don't have to, it was a strong suggestion from your religious institution, but you don't have to keep that picture of God that you probably are aware that you outgrew a pretty long time ago. So when you're open like this, when you kind of open your fists that were holding this fear and guilt and rejection, and when you let that go, you might be surprised that now you can receive something new. You can receive that love more easily. You can start to see yourself more like Source sees you, because Source sees you, all of us, as a beautiful, complete, amazing spark of the divine. You really are a drop in this ocean of light. And you are completely acceptable as you are. Maybe you haven't reached your potential yet, because we're all still growing into that, right? Until the day we die, and I think even beyond, we're all still evolving. That doesn't mean we deserve to be judged or rejected. So this is the exciting and ongoing and sacred and beautiful task before you, discovering who is God really, discovering who am I in God, who is God in me. And you want to pay attention to those 4 pillars. You get to live without fear and its friends: guilt, anxiety, rejection, shame, anger. You get to trust yourself. You get to build boundaries, and you get to see God and know God in your own authentic way. So I'd like you to put in the chat, if you're here live, what was your biggest aha moment here today? What moment were you like, what? Oh my gosh, I have been thinking that, yeah. Or, oh, I do remember that they told us that, and then I took that into my heart and made it mean this. Or, ooh, I love this new thing about a new picture of God, or whatever. Put that in the chat. I know it takes a minute to think about it and then to type it in there. So I'm going to give you a minute, but I just want you to know this is really important what you've done here today. You showed up here, you showed up for yourself. It's beautiful to feel seen and heard and connected. You've just met a couple of other people here who are on a similar journey. You've just heard 4 things that will really help you create the relationship with the divine that you deserve and want. But I want you to know too, that it's going to be kind of easy to fall back into old patterns of not having boundaries and not remembering who God really is to you and not being able to feel your connection. Because we all need a little support on this journey. This is a huge deal, especially if you, for 10 or 20 or 30 years, were taught in this one way and they were doing the best they could, and it works for a lot of people, but for whatever reason, it didn't work for you, I'm assuming, because you're here. So I invite you to continue this journey, and I don't think that it's the easiest thing to do it alone. I want you to know I am here for you. I have taken this same journey, and my very favorite, I love all my clients, but my very favorite clients are usually the ones who were also raised in a really strict religion and are desperately seeking the divine without the guilt and anger and fear. So I am offering, wait, let me just see what people put was their biggest aha moment. I love the idea of viewing God in a new way, like changing your mental image of what God is. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I misread this for a second. I thought it said changing your manual of what God is. And I like that too. We're rewriting the user's manual a little bit here. We're not rewriting it. We're just updating it. We're not saying, oh, everything was wrong. No. I mean, the church got a lot of things right. You know, they taught us that there's God and that that's important. And they taught us right from wrong. And, you know, there was a lot of love. There was a lot of community. The world does not understand community the way the church does. And other religions too. There's that they got it with community, right? But we can rewrite the manual a little bit. You know, we can update it. I mean, and someone else said, I love the self hug over your heart. Yeah, it is like a self hug. I didn't even call it that. Yeah. Oh, and I won't like this because sometimes if you're upset, you can pound like this a little bit. And this helps. It's binaural beats. It helps get your blood pressure down, helps get your 2 brain hemispheres communicating with each other. It helps get your breathing rate and your heart rate to slow down where you want them to be. Or yeah, you can just give yourself a little hug here. Okay, so if you are like, yes, I really want to find my connection. I really want to get rid of this guilt. I really want to build boundaries. I want you to know that you get to have, if you wish, a free one-on-one Get Unstuck Zoom with me. It's 45 minutes. I'm going to ask you some good questions. You're going to tell me what's going on with you. And I'm going to tell you the major belief system that I see underneath everything that's going on in your life. And we're going to talk about how you can go beyond that old stuff. Okay. It's not just like a therapy session where you talk. It's really not a session at all. It's more of a get to know you call, but it is a time where you find out what you could do next to continue this journey. So it's in the chat. Yeah, it's my Calendly link. You just click right on that link. It's going to take you to my Calendly, which is one of those calendars where you can reserve your time. It's a free Get Unstuck Zoom. So that is a time when, like I said, I'm going to ask you some very specific questions, and you're going to let me know what keeps happening in your life that you're so sick of, you're so done with. And then you're going to let me know what you would love to have in your life. Some people exactly know, because manifesting is kind of more of a thing lately, and some people have been so discouraged for so long that they really don't even know what they want. They just know what they don't want. In that case, I will help you to find out what it is that you do want. And then we're going to talk about how you can move from where you are feeling stuck to where you want to be feeling free. Has a lot probably to do with those 4 pillars, but there's so much more. And again, it's not just talking, it's using energy healing techniques like theta healing, and I use a couple of other things too. We do whatever works for each person. And we acknowledge what is happening, and we release it, not just by talking, but by doing these more somatic techniques. And then we welcome in the new stuff. And you guys, the new stuff is cool. The new you is amazing, expansive, powerful, joyful, intelligent. The new you is amazing. So let me know if you want to meet. Oh, and it probably you'll be able to find a time in that Calendly. If you can't, and you're like, I don't know, I have this really strict work schedule. I want to talk to Tara, but email me and we'll find a time. Tara at beyondyourbelief.com. Tara at beyondyourbelief.com. Email me and we will find a time. Okay. You can also give me a call or text if you prefer texting. I love texting. 917-426 5335. Is that right? Or is it 35? I think that's right. Leon's going to throw it in there for me. 917-426 5335. Seems like I know my phone number, doesn't it? So you guys, do you have any other questions or anything that kind of wasn't addressed or anything that was, and you would love to just ask one more question about it? Put it in the chat, unmute yourself. I am here. It is 917-426-5335. Here, I'll put that in. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Thank you. If nobody has any questions, we will go ahead and close. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you for being here live. Thank you for watching the replay. This is one of my favorite masterclasses to teach because I want people to know that you are connected to the divine. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. You're so welcome.